All right, so the first step we're going to do is go and grab that file off of my blog. It's called Summer Vibes. So let's go on over to my blog. My blog is called Creates with Love, just like my YouTube channel. We're going to go to the resource library. And if you don't already have a password, you would just scroll down a little further. You'd put in your first name, your email address, and subscribe. Once you subscribe to my newsletter, then you'll also get access to all my free files. Alrighty, so we're going to download the Summer Vibes files. I'm going to put Show in Folder. I'm going to double click this file. I'm going to extract all. I'm going to choose where I want them to go. For me, I want them to go to my desktop. Click on Select Folder and Extract. Alrighty, so I'm just going to minimize that for now. Actually, let me go ahead and close this. Okay, close this. We can close this. Okay, so now we're going to go and we're going to design a new project. And we're going to upload. That way we can upload that file that I had just saved to my desktop. And I'm going to click on Upload Image. And instead of browsing, I'm going to do the easier way. And on my desktop, I have the file that's called Summer Vibes Files. So here are the files that were extracted. Now this one right here is going to be the SVG file. That's the one I'm going to want. So what I'm going to do is just move this over. Actually, let me make it smaller so it's easier for you to see. I'm going to take this SVG file and I'm going to drag and drop it over here. It's the quickest way to get your files uploaded. So I'm going to left click it, drag it. Once the background turns green, just release my mouse and it automatically is going to upload the file. And there it is. I'm going to add a tag as summer phrases just to help me keep my files organized. And I'm going to click Save. Select it once. Once you have that green line around the rectangle, go ahead and click Insert Images. And there we go. Now, I already predetermined the size that I want this to be. Mine is going to go inside of a picture frame. And so I have already made the predetermined size for that. So I'm going to go ahead and make that change now. So I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to put in 6.427. And then 7.684. So this just turned out to be my preference for this particular file. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it. I'm going to make sure that my numbers are right. 6.427 and 7.684. Perfect. All right. This looks really good. Now the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of the chairs and I'm going to change the summer vibes because that's where I want those printed flowers to go. So first thing I'm going to do is ungroup. I'm going to rectangle around the two chairs. I want the chairs to be red, so I'm going to change the color to red. Now I'm going to attach. That way my chairs stay the same. Now for the summer vibes, those are already grouped together, so I'm going to change the color. I'm going to use yellow. It's nice and bright. Now just remind me to use my printed Infusible ink transfer sheet. So now I can rectangle around this and I can, just to make sure, I can center horizontally and align vertically. Scratch that. Don't do that. I messed up. That's funny. Well, that's a good lesson, right? That's a really good lesson for you to see. Sometimes when I line up my files, I always do those both. But as you can see, sometimes that doesn't work. So everything is lined perfectly now. I can go ahead and rectangle around. I'm going to make sure my sizes are the same, and they did stay the same. And I'm going to go ahead and group this file together. So now we've got everything grouped together, and the only two things that are attached are the chairs. Going to go ahead and click on Make It. All right, so we've got red for the chairs, and we've got to make sure that we mirror. Anytime you use Infusible ink project, you want to mirror your project. So I've just mirrored the chairs. Now I'm going to mirror the words. I only want one copy, so we're good to go. Put it back on the red and click Continue. So it's searching for my machine. There we go. Alrighty, so I'm going to browse all materials. It looks like I still haven't saved that as a favorite, so I think I'll make sure that I do it this time. So I'm going to go ahead and put in Infusible, and I'm going to click here. That way it'll make it my favorite. And click Done. Now it says to make sure that the mirror is turned on, which we already did, and the material is inked side up. So I haven't printed it yet, but that's what they want you to do before you make your kit or your cut. So here you want to use the fine point blade and make sure it's sharp. If you have been using your fine point blade a lot, you might want to grab some aluminum foil and crumple it all up and just push the little depressor on the blade and just kind of, carefully, you don't want to poke your finger, and just put that blade in and out of that foil quite a few times, and that will help make sure that there's nothing, no vinyl pieces or little paper pieces, and it also helps sharpen the blade. So there's a good tip for you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and switch on over to this camera over here so you can see lining everything up. And we're going to continue with our project here. Just a super quick update. What I did was, when I looked at the previous file that we just looked at, the more I looked at it, it looked like it might have been too small. So to test it out in the frame, just to be sure, I went ahead and I changed this file to a print and cut. And the way that you do that is simply go down in the bottom right-hand corner and click on the word flatten. Once you do that, it changes the file to a print and cut. So when you hit make it, it'll send it to your printer. You can print it out. I just did mine in black and white, and I was able to put it in the picture frame. And what I found was that the way that I originally created the file, it would have been fine for a smaller frame. But for a frame of this size, I really wanted the letters to be bigger, the chairs to be bigger, and not so much white space between the letters and the chairs. So this file looks really good. I don't need to print and cut it because I know that this one is going to work just fine. So the cool part is that you guys have options. You can do the first one. I'll include the browser link to this design for this size as well. So this one's a little bit bigger. The original one are both on my blog in the resource library. So if you did want to print and cut and you want to get it out of this print and cut, you can just hit your back arrow and it'll take you back to your cut files that you had before. So I hope this tip really works, because you can do this with a lot of different files or projects, not just this one. So it's a great way to test and just see what the finished product, get a better idea. Anyway, so I'll see you in just a bit for the rest of the project. So let me go over the supplies that you're going to need for this project. You don't need much. So we've got our Infusible ink. This is the design I'm going with, is this here, and then the red for the chairs. I've got a picture frame, which is a 10 by 13, and I've got the measurements that I've cut out. So what I did was I took a tote bag, and I'm using it basically as fabric. So my plan is to not only do this project, but show you a couple more projects all using the fabric from a tote bag. And in the end, I'll even be able to take the top of the bag and attach it to some fabric to make another tote bag. Anyway, that's the plan. You'll need a lint roller. This is to make sure that you get any lint off of your product before you put the ink on it. And you will need a green Cricut mat. You'll need a piece of butcher paper, and you'll need at least an 80-pound cardstock. This happens to be 110, so this is what I have on hand. And then you'll need your Easy Press. Now I've got an Easy Press too, but you can use either one. Just make sure that you check the settings for which press that you're using. All right, so let me move this stuff out of the way so we can get started. Okay. I'm going to first get the project cutting out on the Cricut. Okay, so here. Okay, so we're going to load the map. And we did make sure that we mirrored. We've got the fine point blade inside. Okay, so I had to pause the video there because I realized my Cricut camera wasn't recording, so we're back at it. And we'll do this one next. And then remember, I didn't get to mention it before, but make sure you turn your mat upside down and peel this way. This was a new mat, so it's pretty sticky. Nice and slow until it comes free. Alright, so that's that. Okay, so let's see here. Right there. Plus it makes it a little bit easier to read. Really good. All right, get my Easy Press ready. Good job over. Okay, so for this, since we're not using the whole tote bag, we don't have to worry about putting the thing in the middle of the tote bag, which is nice. For this, we're going to protect our mat by putting down the cardstock, and then just making sure that that hump is going to be okay. I'm going to move it over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, and then we want to put our tote fabric down. Doesn't matter which side you use on this. And then we're going to put the butcher paper over it. Actually, one lint roller. And this is just to make sure that nothing, no fibers or hairs or anything is going to get in the way of adhering to ink. Okay, so that's nice and clean. My hands are clean. Put the picture paper over, and this we're going to simply just preheat for 15 seconds at 385. If I can get my cord untangled. There we go. Okay, and then when this is done, we can line up our ink transfers. This is exciting. I love doing these. Okay, remove the butcher paper. And then now, this is when we're going to want to put the ink side down and the transfer paper side up. So you want to be careful and just line up your image the best you can. I'm just going to eyeball it. You can always use a ruler if that makes you feel more comfortable. Chairs. Perfect. Okay, we've got this on. We use the lint roller. So now we just want to make sure that we put we've got the cardstock, we've got the tote bag fabric, we've got the design, we've got the butcher paper, which of course you want to make sure is larger than your heat tray. And then this is a part where you're going to put the easy press down and don't move it. You want to make sure that you just put it down. You can use light pressure. I have seen people just set it down. You basically just want to put it right over the design, and this time we want to go 40 seconds. I'm going to do, since I just started a little bit late, and there we go. That's 385 light pressure. Make sure you do not move your heat press or it will ghost the design. I think actually that's been the trickiest part for me to remember, is I'm so used to ironing with it that by habit I almost want to move it. It makes me want to not put my hands on it. It makes me wonder if that's why people are doing that. But then this is a warm quill, so you don't want to, you can take the butcher paper right off, but you don't want to take the ink transfer off. So make sure you lift this straight up. That down, turn it off. I'm not going to need it again. So I'm going to take the butcher paper off. I'm not doing that again. And we're going to let this cool for a little bit. And it's a good sign when you can see it already peeling away. That's a good sign that the ink has adhered. So it's already getting exciting because I can see the colors, how vibrant they are underneath. You can see how the letters are picking up. So this was the part where I was saying that if one of these were to stick, you want to use tweezers, not your fingers. So if there's any part that when we pull this up, it looks like it needs help, you want to use tweezers and not our hands. So that's why you want to have those handy. So the frame, I can get the frame ready while doing that, having that cool down a little bit. This is what I had my pliers for. I want to make sure that I don't touch it, so let me just close this up so I have a little bit more room. Because I don't want to move that around for fear that, but I don't want to use it indoors, so I'll have to think on that for a bit. But I can always take it outside, spray it real quick. But my point is I want to be using this frame over and over. For myself, I like having it hanging on a wooden arch over my mantle. That would be cute. Okay, so here's the mat. I almost hate to cover up sunflower since it is my very favorite flower in the world. But you could also use blue tape, so we could tape it to the back of the mat. The mat, I noticed, has like an ecru, which is a lot very similar to the tote bag, and then there's a brighter white like the frame. So I will probably tape it to the brighter white. That way it'll look prettier with that. So actually I think this is cooled quite well. Let's just see. So I'm going to pull this away. Nice. If I get my fingers under it. There we go. Look at that. Oh my gosh, look how vibrant that is. So pretty. And the chairs. Just gorgeous. And that is going to look so good. It's going to make me want to, I don't know, have a glass of lemonade or a pretty little cocktail with an umbrella in it. Alright, so let's see here. It's bright. Let's see. So it's either going to be this way or I definitely like it that way. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I would like to glue this. The reason why, I can actually glue it right to this. That will provide it some stability so that when it's in the frame, it doesn't kind of wave like that, because I'm afraid if I just put blue tape around the edge, then it would be kind of a wavy design, and probably I would only notice that, but you know, that's how it is. So I'm going to glue this and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I took it outside and I used this Elmer's multi-purpose spray adhesive. Worked super great. I just basically took it out on one, laid one side down, laid this on top of it, or sprayed it, and then laid it on top. And what I've done is I come back in and I've just marked where it's going to be. Now what I'm going to do, I could just put it all back together, but I like it to be a little bit more secure, so I'm going to grab some blue tape real quick. And I marked it here and here, just so there's, if it does wiggle, I know where to put it back at. You'll notice too, if you do use this tote bag fabric, it does fray, so keep that in mind for projects. You might want to use a serger or a zigzag stitch if you are going to be making some sewing projects. Hint, hint as to what one of my future projects are going to be. Okay, so we're just going to put that right into, I'm going to put it just barely on the edge so it doesn't show within the frame. And again, this is just to keep it a little bit more secure. I don't think you need to go all the way around. It's because I sprayed it, it doesn't seem to be rippling. And this is already on here, so I'm just basically going to tape it right there so it gets a little bit of each place there. Now that seems pretty secure. Got a little bubble right there, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So let's put this cute little thing back together. So that's how it's going to go. Put that in first. Put this in this way. And before we button down the hatches, we should take a peek. Just make sure everything lined up good. Nice. I see some dirt. Ah. Oh look, and dog hair. Go figure, we have pets. Okay, so turn it this way. Gosh, who doesn't have dog hair or cat hair? I guess if you don't have a pet. Me, I can't live without pets, so. Maybe I could use a lint roller. Oh, too funny. Okay, get this this back in there. Flip it over. Oh, that was so nice. And look, I saw the pet hair, so clearly I did the wrong thing. So I won't button it all up, but you get the idea. Here, I'll put my thumb. Now you can't see the pet hair. Anyway, I hope you really enjoyed this project. I tried to think outside of the box for y'all so you could just come up with different ideas. You know, I looked at the tote bag and I especially loved the feel of it. My mom and I were at Michael's. I pulled one out of the bag and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I thought it was going to be like a hard, rough, kind of a canvas feeling thing like a lot of the tote bags are. And I was pleasantly pleased with the material. So look forward, come back to my channel. I'm going to have more projects on what I'm going to do with the rest of my tote bag. So come back, please subscribe and like and share if you like it, and save it to Pinterest if you want to remember it for later too. Anyway, thanks and take care. Bye.